Hi everyone, I'm Rebecca Keppel. I am here for ThermOWeb on the ThermOWeb YouTube channel today, and I am super excited to be here because I get to show you some of the brand new Gina designs for ThermOWeb StampnFoil for the fall 2018 release. There are tons of products. There's a new graphic sunflower StampnFoil set, Thankful Leaves, and foil mates. So I'm going to give you a little peek at all the new products and then show you how I created 2 cards with them. So let's take a closer look at these brand new products. These are the foil mates. They're pre-printed designs on cardstock that you can send through the laminator with foil to create foiled backgrounds. These are the 2 StampnFoil sets. First, we're going to take a look at Thankful Leaves. You can see that you get different leaf stamps that are layerable. There's layers of stamping that you can do. You can also use different sentiments, and then you can stamp them on top of these 2 different foil mates detail sheets and then cut them out with the coordinating dies. The same is true for the other set, which is called Graphic Sunflowers. You have 2 different sizes of sunflowers, different centers that you can stamp. You can use this stamp set on its own, or you can combine it with these detail sheets that are the toner printed on the cardstock, which then can be die cut with the coordinating dies and then sent through the laminator with foil to foil them. So I'm going to show you exactly what I mean. I'm going to stamp these first 2 sunflowers with an orange ink. All these inks are from Gina Designs, and I will link all the colors that I use down below. Now I'm going to stamp 2 different sunflowers, the large and the small, with a yellow ink. And then I wanted to show you how you can also combine ink colors on these. So I'm going to line up the stamps on the last 2. I'm going to ink it up with a little bit of yellow, and then I'm going to use some orange around the edge to create a just 2-tone effect on my stamping. And I love all 3 different variations. You can do the same thing with the Detail Foil Mates and the Thankful Leaves set. So I can do all 4 leaves at once, stamping in my stamping platform. You can either stamp them all in the same color, or especially if you have ink cubes, this is easier to do, is to come in with 2 different colors to kind of give them that fall foliage look where they're turning from green to brown, or from green to orange, and then from orange to brown, which I think is a really pretty look for the fall, for Thanksgiving, just any type of friend card or thank you card. This is the other detail sheet that you can get, and you can see that there's no outline for these. It's just the veins that will have the foiling once you run them through the laminator with your foil sheets. What I like to do is cut them out first. So I am going to use the coordinating dies and some purple tape and run them through my die cut machine and have them all be little individual die cut stamped pieces. Next, I'm going to cut my foil mates in half so that they are all 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. I've pulled out a bunch of Gina fancy foils in different colors that I thought would go great with these backgrounds and with the little details that we cut out. I'm making a sandwich inside parchment paper with some cardstock and then my foil mate, and then I'm going to cut a piece of transfer sheet foils, the fancy foils, down to match my foil mate and run that whole sandwich through my laminator, which is good and hot, a good 10 minutes or so, even more, to heat up to make sure that it's nice and hot and the foil is going to adhere to the toner. And just look at that. It's hard to tell until you tilt it in the light and you see all that beautiful foiling on those foil mates. So these create really beautiful backgrounds, and then when you send your individual sunflowers or leaves through, you can see that you get that beautiful foiling touch in the areas that used to be black are now the color of the foil and nice and shiny. And this is just such an easy way to add foiling to your stamped and die cut images. I absolutely love it. What I like to do is take 4 or 5 and then a strip of the transfer sheet and just run it through my laminator. I like to do all of my laminating or my foiling at once. This way my laminator stays good and hot. I'm getting the best coverage that I possibly can. Instead of doing a little bit of this and a little bit of that and going back and forth, I like to do all the foiling all at once. So you can see that the veins on those leaves and the outlines for some of them are also foiled. So now I'm just going to I had cut out the centers of the sunflowers that just have toner, and I'm just running them through with some wild dandelion Gina K foils. And so you can see again on this leaf, you get the beautiful veins that are foiled. And for the centers, everything that was toner printed is foiled. And these make just great layering pieces on your cards. Okay, so I have a FoilMate background that is from Bountiful Flourish. I have a piece of craft cardstock from Gina K Designs, and I am stamping the sentiment Hello Sunshine from the Graphic Sunflowers set. I also have the stems of the sunflowers, and I'm going to stamp those on that craft cardstock as well. So there's a smaller stem for that smaller sunflower and then a longer stem for that longer sunflower. And I'm going to use both because I'm going to use both of those sunflowers on this card. I have one that was stamped in orange and one that was stamped in yellow. And then I have some leaves and I have two centers. And I really liked the way the centers looked as is, but I thought I would add some ink color on top of them. I didn't add any ink color before I laminated them, and you don't have to, but I just thought it would be really fun if the centers kind of were coordinating with the colors that I used on the outside. So I have for my yellow flower an orange center, and for my orange flower a yellow center. Okay, I'm going to use some ThermOWeb Memory Runner XL, which is my favorite tape runner, to start adhering all these layers together. So I put the craft down on the FoilMate. I did some stitching on the edges there, and now I'm adhering down my sunflowers and my centers and my leaves, just tucking them underneath. I like to just put a little bit of adhesive in the center of those flowers so that I have a little bit of wiggle room to move those leaves around a little bit. I'm going to use some ThermOWeb mixed media liquid adhesive to adhere a few gold sequins to my card as well to complete it. For my second card, I have one of the FoilMates from the Harvest Texture Pack. I've cut a large circle out of it using the Gina K Designs for ThermOWeb circle dies, and it fits this large thankful for a friend like you sentiment inside it perfectly. So I'm going to adhere the circle of the FoilMate down to some cardstock so that it has some coordinating cardstock on the back. And once I do that, then I'm going to get ready to stamp and heat emboss my sentiment right inside. Once I've done that, I'm going to layer all of this over a 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 inch piece of Gina K cardstock in a coordinating color. I have a bunch of the thankful leaves cut out. They're foiled, stamped, and die cut, and I'm just arranging them around that circle so they'll look like a wreath. I don't want two colors that are the same next to each other, so I'm just messing around with placement first. Then I'm using the ThermOWeb 3D Zots, so they'll have dimension as well, to adhere them all down, and I'm tucking them underneath each other so most of the stems will be behind the leaf next to it. And you can just see how easy it was to create this adorable little wreath around a circle when you have a bunch of those images ready to go. So that's why I like to stamp and foil a bunch first. I'm going to flip this card panel over and cut off the excess with some non-stick scissors. And this card is really done other than adhering it to a top folding 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 inch note card. I hope you are as excited about the new Gina K Designs for ThermOWeb stamp and foil release as I am. I love the fall. I love all these images. I think the sunflowers especially will be a great year-round set. So if you're interested in the supplies I use, they will all be linked down below. I want to thank you so much for stopping by today. Have a wonderful day.